ABC7 presents Eyewitness Newsmakers with Adrienne Alpert.
Today on Eyewitness Newsmakers, children at risk. Are too many dying who the county should have protected? Will authorities be forced to take more children from their home? At issue, how to add up child deaths from neglect and abuse when even one is one too many. Our guests, two LA County supervisors who have joined together to find answers. County Supervisor Michael Antonovich and County Supervisor Mark Ridley-Thomas.
The homes have been destroyed.
Good morning, I'm Adrienne Alpert, and supervisors, I'd like to thank you both for being here for this unprecedented program and this discussion that we're going to have today. Recently, my guests, County Supervisors Ridley-Thomas and Antonovich, co-authored an opinion article in the Los Angeles Times, and it began with this: few tragedies compared to the death of a child, and in Los Angeles County, too many children die at the hands of parents or caregivers. But in Los Angeles, there is an additional disgrace: the fueling of panic over child fatalities by government officials and the news media, who continue to operate in an environment clouded by incomplete and misunderstood facts. Supervisors, let me ask you first, why have you co-authored this piece?
Well, I think the major point is already made. We want to resolve problems and not fan the flames and contribute to misinformation. That's very important. Responsible leadership does that, and I'm pleased to collaborate with my colleague here, Supervisor Antonovich, in that pursuit. And I hasten to add that I think we're not alone in that regard.
Supervisor, this certainly brings the two of you together on one issue that you present a united front. Why have you co-authored this?
Well, we really worked on a number of issues together, but both of us have placed children at the top of our priority. And we have so many children in foster care. We want to have permanent homes for them. And then those children that are being abused by, let's say, the system, we want to see those issues corrected. So we also authored another proposal to upgrade, ensure that the standards statewide, nationwide, are being met by our department, so the men and women in the field are prepared and do the job. But the other county departments who are equally involved, mental health and others, Department of Health, are up there on the front lines making decisions to help these children. And this will never be a complete system until all of the departments work together as an equal, because the child is the one that we are representing and trying to help, and we can only do that if we are united in our efforts, and that's what we've done in this effort.
The Los Angeles Times did this article that I believe your op-ed piece, though, is in response to. Is that correct, what you were saying?
A series of
pieces and investigations that says the numbers are different, perhaps, than what the county is using. Let me just read again from your piece that you co-authored. This says, the number of children killed by parents, foster parents, or relatives acting as guardians have been effectively constant since the 1990s. These figures have been overlooked. And we have numbers that you have provided us that look at these figures over these years to 94. But now, Supervisor Ridley-Thomas, you're looking at the county to produce some new numbers for you in the next month, going back 10 years?
Well, yes. I mean, our statement is as follows. We need to be absolutely sure about that which we speak. And there has been so much controversy surrounding this until Supervisor Antonovich and myself co-authored a motion calling for the various agencies and departments within the County of Los Angeles to come together, and the Chief Executive Office would essentially determine the single entity responsible for the data. Right now, there are at least 4 different entities within the county family doing so, and regrettably, it is in some instances conflicting. That doesn't help the board, and the board is insisting that we have accurate and singular data.
Supervisor Antonovich, to bring you into this conversation, I wanted to ask, though, and I could put it out to both of you as well, isn't it kind of a little late to be coming up with new figures? I mean, shouldn't this kind of a system have been in place already to get accurate numbers?
What you have is a situation where departments like to operate on their own agenda, their own protocols. But the protocol that we've been advocating and pursuing is to have one protocol with all of the agencies working together, so when there is a crisis, they all, as a unit, respond to meeting the needs of that child. And again, the statistics, as we reported in our paper, the reports that were being used were taking into adding people that were killed in gang warfares up to 18 years of age and making it sound as if they were all infants being abused and killed by their family members. And that's not historically what has happened. That number has remained basically constant, and we have turned from 50,000 kids in the Department of Children and Family Services. Now it's down to approximately 30,000, and we are making great efforts to ensure that children are going to be in a safe home. If they can be with their family members, and we're going to give them that support, and if they can't, then we're going to have them adopted in safe, secure homes. And that's why we encourage the people who are listening to call 888-811-1121 so they can also be a part of the solution of the problem to finding homes for these kids.
At the end of this program, we're going to put that number up on the screen, which is an adoption hotline, and we're going to give that to our viewers. So if you were surprised by that, we'll have that number for you again. Let me read another portion of your article, which said this, the two of you co-authored: the increase in a broader category, abuse and neglect, child deaths, may or may not be significant in terms of policy decisions. We don't know yet. That's what you're talking about here, correct?
Exactly.
In how these categories line up and who exactly is counted in these numbers.
Well, I think what's important is the following. The public needs to be able to rely on the decisions that are being made by the Board of Supervisors and the Chief Executive Staff, as well as the department heads themselves. The board needs to be sure that the information that we are advancing helps us to make good decisions. You can't make good decisions with bad data. And our view is, and I'd say this collectively, is to make children the priority that they deserve to be, particularly those who are the most vulnerable. And we see too many children who are dying, who are under the care or in the custody of the County of Los Angeles. Even though it is a constant, roughly 20 such youngsters annually, that's still too many from our point of view. Frankly, that's more than 1 every 3 weeks. And so there was a piece that appeared, as you referred to, in the LA Times. We wrote about it in the Huffington Post prior to that, essentially saying that that which can be prevented ought to be prevented, and we have an obligation to see that that's
It was
done.
one of your fellow supervisors, Yaroslavsky, who said something has gone terribly, terribly haywire in the oversight of these children. Isn't one of the issues, though, the kind of privacy that has to be maintained among these different agencies?
There's too much gobbledygook on these privacy laws. The privacy laws that is the most important is the privacy of that child is going to be safe and secure in his or her environment, and that all of the agencies have to help. If state laws have to be changed, then change the state law. Let's not forget about the child. Let's not forget about that child's future and safety. And it can only be done to ensure that we don't get bogged down in so-called privacy laws that prevent getting the aid and help to save the life of a child that's being endangered by the system, and those who are abusing that child are hiding behind some law that is going to permit them to hurt that child. And we want to change that law if that law has to be changed. But many times it's the interpretation that's not being done, and you get in a bureaucratic logjam where departments will reinterpret what the law is, forgetting who we are supposed to serve. We're supposed to serve the needs of that child.
All right, Supervisor Antonovich and Supervisor Ridley-Thomas, stay with us. We'll talk more about how these agencies will work together. We'll have more with the county supervisors right after this.